Have you ever stopped to really look at a banknote? This piece of paper or polymer in your hand? What is it really? On its own, it's almost worthless. A bit of ink, a bit of cotton fiber. You can't eat it, you can't build a house with it. Yet, we trade our most valuable asset for it, our time. We work hours, days, years, all for these paper promises. How did we get here? How did we, as a species, collectively agree that this piece of paper holds immense value? Welcome to Finance House. Today, we're diving deep into one of the greatest stories ever told, the story of money and the psychology that keeps it all going. It all boils down to a single, powerful human trait: trust. Not just trust in a person, but trust in a system. Imagine a time before money. I'm a farmer with a surplus of wheat, and you're a blacksmith who needs to eat. I need a new plow. A simple barter seems easy, right? But what if you don't need wheat right now? What if the value of a plow is 10 times the value of the wheat I have? This coincidence of wants is incredibly inefficient. Our ancestors needed a better way. So they started using intermediaries, things that everyone agreed had some inherent value. Seashells, salt, precious metals like gold and silver. These worked because they were rare, durable, and easily divisible. Gold, in particular, became the star player. It was shiny, it didn't rust, and you couldn't just create more of it out of thin air. For thousands of years, gold was money. It represented tangible, real-world value. When coins were minted, their value was tied to the weight of the precious metal they contained. You weren't trusting the coin itself, but the gold within it. This was a system based on physical reality, a comforting thought. But carrying around bags of heavy gold is inconvenient and risky. So, a new innovation emerged, the promissory note. Goldsmiths, who had secure vaults, started acting like the first bankers. People would deposit their gold with them and get a paper receipt in return. This receipt was a promise that you could redeem it for your gold at any time. Soon, people realized it was much easier to trade these paper receipts directly rather than constantly going back to the goldsmith to get the physical gold. And just like that, paper money was born. Notice the subtle but crucial shift. The value was no longer in the object itself, but in the promise it represented. People trusted the goldsmith's reputation. They believed that the paper in their hand was as good as gold. This is the first major psychological leap. We moved from trusting a physical object to trusting a promise, an idea. Fast forward to the modern era. For a long time, currencies like the US dollar were on the gold standard. This meant that the government promised you could, in theory, exchange your dollars for a fixed amount of gold. It was a safety net, a link back to that tangible value we historically craved. But in 1971, that all changed. The United States officially abandoned the gold standard. Suddenly, the dollar was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by, well, what exactly? This is where we get to the heart of our modern financial system: fiat currency. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be done. Fiat money has value simply because a government declares that it does, and we, the people, collectively agree to believe it. The US dollar, the euro, the yen, almost all major currencies today are fiat. Their value is derived entirely from shared belief and trust in the stability and authority of the government that issues them. Think about that. The global economy, with its trillions of dollars in daily transactions, is running on a system of pure belief. It's a massive multiplayer game where the rules are, we all pretend this paper is valuable, and as long as everyone keeps pretending, it works. It's a shared illusion, but a highly functional one. So why do we keep believing? It comes down to a few key psychological principles. First, social proof. We trust it because everyone else trusts it. When you walk into a store, you're confident they'll accept your money. Why? Because they accepted it from the person before you, and they'll accept it from the person after you. This network effect is incredibly powerful. The system works because we all act as if it works. To stop believing would be to isolate yourself from the entire economic system. Second, there's the authority principle. We are conditioned to trust institutions, especially governments and central banks. They have impressive buildings, use complex language, and project an aura of control and stability. The Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, these institutions are the high priests of our financial religion. Their job isn't just to manage the money supply, it's to manage our belief in it. When a central banker speaks, the world listens, because their words can strengthen or weaken the spell we're all under. And third, let's be honest, we don't have a better alternative. The system, for all its abstractness, allows for incredible economic complexity and growth. It facilitates global trade, credit, and investment on a scale that would be impossible with gold bars or barter. We accept the illusion because the convenience it provides is very, very real. The promise of future value allows us to build, to invest, and to plan for the future. This brings us to another layer of the illusion: credit. Credit is literally the belief in future money. When a bank gives you a loan, they are trusting that you will earn enough paper promises in the future to pay them back with interest. The entire credit market, which is many times larger than the amount of physical money in existence, is built on this forward-looking belief. We're not just believing in the paper in our hands. We're believing in paper that hasn't even been printed yet, to be earned by a future version of ourselves. Of course, this system built on belief is also fragile. The moment belief wavers, the illusion can shatter. We see this during hyperinflation, when a government prints too much money. People lose faith that the currency will hold its value, so they rush to spend it as quickly as possible. The social proof works in reverse. Everyone is selling, no one is buying. The money becomes worthless, not because its physical properties changed, but because the collective belief in it evaporated. The stories from Weimar Germany or modern-day Zimbabwe are stark reminders of what happens when the promise is broken. We also see this fragility during financial crises. The 2008 crisis was, at its core, a crisis of belief. People suddenly stopped believing in the value of mortgage-backed securities, complex financial products, built on layers and layers of promises. Once that trust disappeared, the system seized up. Banks stopped trusting each other, credit dried up, and the whole house of cards threatened to collapse. So is money just a grand illusion? A collective delusion? Yes, in a way, it is. But it's a necessary one. As historian Yuval Noah Harari puts it, money is probably the most successful story ever told. It's an intersubjective reality, something that exists only in our collective imagination, but has immense power in the real world. It has allowed strangers to cooperate on a global scale, fueling the progress of human civilization. The psychology of money shows us that finance is not just about numbers and charts. It's about stories, beliefs, and human behavior. We trust in paper promises because we trust in each other, in our institutions, and in the future. We trust that tomorrow someone else will accept that piece of paper for a loaf of bread, a tank of gas, or a place to live. It's a delicate dance of collective faith, one that we all participate in every single day. The value isn't in your wallet, it's in our shared mind. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive at Finance House. If you found this exploration of money and belief as fascinating as we do, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And for more content that unpacks the psychology behind the financial world, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you see money as a tool, a story, or something else entirely? Until next time, stay curious.